This is a Coronet film. It is about a colt named Sparky. The film was produced with the assistance of Dr. Dora Weiss, who is a professor of education at the University of Minnesota. It's on the farm where David Young lives. David is hurrying home from school because his father promised a surprise today. Can you guess what the surprise will be? Suddenly, David sees his father near the barn. Father waves to David to hurry, so David runs. Something exciting must have happened. David follows his father to the corral. Do you know what a corral is? It's a big, clean, with a high, strong fence all around it. Most of the time, there are 3 or 4 horses in the corral. But David sees only one horse now. Then, as he comes through the gate, he sees the big surprise. Queen, the mother horse, has a new baby. A little colt. David has never before seen a baby colt. A very young horse is called a colt, and the mother is called a mare. The colt has glossy hair, like its mother's, and it has hard little hoofs like hers, but much smaller. Its face is like Queen's face, too. See how it moves its ears? Horses can hear very well. David's father gives Queen a carrot and talks to her in a quiet, gentle voice. He has always been kind to Queen, so she knows he won't hurt her little colt. David watches because he wants to learn how to take care of horses, and he wants to be friends with the new colt. As they move away to watch, what do you think happens? The colt tries to stand up for the first time. Look, it can hardly manage all 4 legs. Hurrah for the colt! David can hardly be quiet enough. But look again. The little colt is trying to walk. It isn't easy to make 4 legs do the right things at the right time. But the colt tries. The mother horse wants her colt to learn fast. Can you imagine why? Now we know. The colt must be able to stand up to get its first dinner of milk from its mother. Mr. Young is pleased because he knows that the little colt will be all right now. David stays to watch a little while longer because he wants to be friends with the colt and pet it. Finally, the colt seems to have had enough milk. David thinks this is a good time to make friends. He'll give the carrot to the little colt. But the colt isn't interested in a carrot. It doesn't seem very friendly, does it? The little colt is much too young to eat anything but milk, so of course it refused the carrot. David is sad. He was only trying to be friendly, but the colt didn't understand. Will David and the colt ever be friends? The next day, Mr. Young puts Queen and her colt on another pasture. There is clover for Queen to eat, and the colt thinks it's fun to walk in the cool grass. But the big corral is the best place to run and play. The mother is proud to see her little colt growing so strong. Sometimes she plays with it, and they run very fast. After playing hard, the colt and the mother rest. And the colt learns to stand where its mother's fine long tail can swish away the flies. Its own little tail is still too short for that. The little colt is very happy, living on a beautiful farm with such fine pastures and trees and neat white fences. And there are other horses it will be able to play with. Now the little colt decides to go exploring. What do you suppose the colt sees? It's a cow. Now the colt sees something else. It's a man riding a horse. The man is a forest ranger. He rides his horse all over the mountains, looking out for forest fires and helping people enjoy their vacations. The little colt thinks the ranger's horse looks very grand. Do you think the colt would like to be a forest ranger's horse when it grows up? On the farm just across the road, there is a beautiful horse doing tricks. It is wonderful, and everyone applauds. Maybe the colt wants to be a trick horse someday and have people watch and applaud. Then the colt looks across a big field and sees another horse helping a farmer get his land ready to plant a crop. The colt goes back to tell Mother what it has seen. Do you imagine them talking together? Maybe she reminds her colt that she and the other grown-up horses are happy just being riding horses for Mr. Young. This farm is a pleasant place to live. So the colt thinks about that, too. After all, there's plenty of time to decide what to be when you grow up. One Saturday, David and his father are watching Queen and her colt. The colt looks fine. Mr. Young tells David he may choose a name for the colt. David knows a good name is important. He decides to name the colt Sparky. Isn't Sparky a good name for such a fine colt? One day, David is putting out some grain for the horses to eat when he hears something right behind him. Can you guess what it is? It's Sparky. Sparky moves in close, so David very gently pets the colt, and Sparky likes it. He likes David. And who should come riding up to the gate but David's father, and he's leading Queen. They see David and Sparky. Then David sees his father. He doesn't want a Sparky, but he must tell his father the good news. He and Sparky are friends. David tiptoes quietly, and then he runs. He runs to tell his father that he and Sparky are friends. Mr. Young is happy to hear it, and he remembers many things that have happened to David and Sparky. Do you remember the first time David saw the little colt lying in the pasture? Could you draw a picture of a little baby colt? Do you know any books about mother horses and their babies? Do you remember how the baby colt took his first dinner? Can you tell a story about what the colt saw when he looked over the fence? Do you remember what happened when David put grain in that box? Yes, David and Sparky became good friends. And as Sparky grows up, I think he'll want to be David's favorite riding horse. Don't you?